16. This has to do with count data and when can we use the normal distribution and the t-distribution, and when do we have to go over to nonparametric methods, okay? Because in the book they just talk about all of these different things. It's important to know, looking at your data, when can you use what? And I want to come up with some nice little rules for you. Okay, let's see. I gotta change my zoom. All right, let's do it this way. How's that? Okay, that looks good. All right. Count data and use of distributions. Okay, normal distribution. Okay. I need to know the population is normally distributed, and I need to know the population standard deviation. And besides that, that shouldn't be just greater than. It's greater than or equal to 15. Yeah, and 40. Okay. Okay. So this is why you can't use normal most of the time, because most of the time when you're working with data, you don't know what the standard deviation for the whole population is. You're going to have to calculate it from your sample, so you're going to get the sample standard deviation, and you're going to back into it. So you're going to be guessing at the standard deviation that automatically wipes out normal distribution. So when we're working with count data, in practice, other than in a statistics book when they are setting it up in la-la land or something, in an idealized situation, you know all of these things. Okay, maybe if you're studying about IQ tests or some standardized thing that has been studied in depth, will you know population standard deviation and how things were built. Okay, even then, you need 15 or more for a sample size. Okay, so if my sample size is lower than 15, I've got to be in the t-distribution. If it's 15 or more, and I know the population standard deviation, sigma, I should put that down on the thing, okay? Sigma looks like that, okay? That's what I need. If I don't, I can't. Most of the time, I'm going to go with the t-distribution, okay? Let's put this up here, because this is, okay, t-distribution. If the population standard deviation is unknown, okay, if you have to calculate the sample standard deviation, then that means you can't use normal, you got to go to t. If the data is approximately normally distributed, okay, you can use t, no matter what the sample size is. If the data is skewed, the size of the sample should be at least, that shouldn't be over, should be at least 25 or more, okay? If the data is badly skewed or has moderate outliers, in other words, your data sucks, you've got to get to a sample size of 40 or more, okay? This is extremely important, that 40 number, okay? I put it in there, note, and put it in italics. As long as you have numeric data, no extreme outliers, okay? I get this a little bit too big. And a sample size of 40 or more, the t-distribution can always be used. I don't care about the underlying distribution, okay? We can use t if we don't have extreme outliers in the sizes, okay? So the problem is that we're not measuring individuals. You're taking samples, and the only number you're working with is the mean of the sample. And you're using the numbers in the sample to calculate your standard deviation, okay? And you're going to use the t-distribution when we're working with count data. Now, as with everything in life, what happens when you can't use that? You go to nonparametric methods. I'll show you one, the sign test, but we have various things. What do we mean you can't do it? If you've got real bad outliers, extreme outliers, remember, are, if we go back to when we talked about outliers, 3 times the IQR, the interquartile range, added to the third quartile and subtracted from the first quartile. If you're outside of that, that's considered extreme outliers. Moderate outliers are 1.5 times IQR outside of the first and third quartile. Now, if we've got real bad outliers, okay, First thing I do if I've got bad outliers is look at, was it a typographical error? A lot of times it's just somebody wrote down the numbers wrong when they did it, and you can correct it and then use the thing. But if in fact you've got real screwed up data, then you're going to have to get away from the t-distribution and go to nonparametric methods. Okay? The other is when you get categoric data. You can't measure, you can't use a t-distribution on categoric data. Okay? It's got to at least be interval data, and it's got to be, somewhat decently behaved. Okay? The key there is a sample size of 40. If you've got numeric data and you don't have extreme outliers, you're safe as long as your sample size is over 40. Okay? If you've got other problems, okay, then we go to nonparametrics. As I said, most of the time you're going to use t-distribution. That's why when we get to the chapter on doing t-tables and stuff, and it's extremely important that you know how to read the t-tables, you know how to work with the various t-tests, because that is going to be your bread and butter. Okay? And this is what we do with count data. Thank you.